Welcome to the Chamber Chat, your source for everything Danville and business topics that matter to you. We hope you enjoy the show. Chamber Chat. Chamber Chat.
Welcome to the Chamber Chat. We are super excited today. It's Jocelyn and Kelly, and we've got Mr. Mark Morgan, town manager, king of the dad jokes, and a friend to the chamber.
Yeah.
So welcome, Mark Morgan.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
You're welcome. I'll let Jocelyn start.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
Mark. So just tell us about, I know that you've been a town employee forever. I don't know that the
Long
world
time.
knows that though. So talk to us about how you started, how you got here, all
Sure.
the things.
So I started working for the town in July of 1978. Started as a lifeguard. Did that every summer until graduated from college. When I was growing up, I'd grown up next to the fire station on Kentucky Street and thought that was probably the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So I thought, when I graduated from college, I want to join the fire department. And went down to town hall, filled out my application, and found out that it didn't pay anything. So I probably ought to get a job. And so I went to work for the Hendricks County Sheriff's Department and was a volunteer fireman for 20 years. So I've never really severed employment with the town of Danville. I just worked part-time. And then in 2005, I had worked my way up to fire chief part-time, and I was ready to retire from law enforcement. The town was ready for their first full-time fire chief, and so I took that job and became again Danville's first career fire chief, and did that until 2019, and the position for town manager came open, and I applied for that and was awarded that position and been doing that ever since. So I've not left the town of Danville technically since 1978.
That's insane.
They used to hire toddlers for the.
Yeah, that's it.
For the-
No, I'm old, believe me, it's okay.
No,
I have
Oh,
problem.
it's like,
Hold on, what are you talking about?
The lifeguards were toddlers.
Yes.
Okay.
I was 15 and a half because you had to be 15 and a half to be able to get your certification for a basic water safety person. So
I still regret not being a lifeguard. I
Yeah.
think I would have enjoyed that job.
I wasn't always this svelte, I looked
Gotcha,
a little
okay.
better in the chair.
Well, okay, I just know I've heard a lot of your stories from the police department and the fire department. So without violating any HIPAA contract or anything, I want to hear your
Wow.
best or like most memorable, like, oh, y'all never forget this.
Right. So, and there's a lot of funny stories that I probably can't convey in a public setting. But one of the most memorable things in my career was we did not have paramedics when I became fire chief. We did not have advanced life support. And they kept saying, we should do this. And I kept thinking, well, the hospital's in our backyard, we're that close to it. So finally I agreed. I said, okay, we'll do paramedics. The very first run we went on, a gentleman had opened up his camper. There were hornets inside. He got stung and went into anaphylactic shock and basically was not breathing when we got there.
Okay.
And our paramedics started working on him and everything. And the thing that was most memorable to me was by the time we left the hospital, that gentleman was laying in the bed and thanked me for our services. And I thought that was really cool. At that point, I realized that every dime we spent on the paramedics was worth every penny of it.
Yeah.
It really was, because I think if things would have been different, this gentleman would never have survived that incident. So to me, that's one of the most rewarding. I could probably sit here all day and tell different stories, but yeah, that one was pretty huge. One of the things that I really do think that was funny, when I was working at the sheriff's department, I'd received a Medal of Valor for capturing a couple bank robbers, and but towards the end of my career, I was awarded a Medal of Bravery. And what was funny, it was for entering a burning house.
As a police officer?
Yeah, I just thought the irony was there. I was like, I do this every day, but apparently I wasn't wearing the fireproof deputy uniform that day.
Okay.
So
I didn't know either of those stories. I've never heard those.
Yeah, again, that's not one of the things I brag about a whole lot. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize that you were the first fire chief.
Mm-hmm.
That's epic.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, there were a lot of, obviously part-time and volunteer chiefs throughout the 200 years of Danville.
Right.
But I was their first career full-time fire chief. So,
What's been your favorite job so far that you've done for the town? Answer cautiously.
I was going to say, I got to be careful about this. I've enjoyed the challenges of this job. I do joke a little bit about, being fire chief was a little easier because, I just put the wet stuff on the red stuff.
Yeah.
But in this job, I'm putting out just as many fires, but with no water.
Right.
But this job really does present different challenges. I really do believe I'm helping people. It's just not as, not seeing the immediate gratification that I saw as fire chief. Then you got to see it, right, just like the gentleman in the hospital. You got to see the results of your efforts, whether it was putting a fire out or helping save someone's life, whatever the case was. In this job, I may not actually see for years what the results of what I do, but I do believe that every decision I make, and again, I have the council that obviously makes the ultimate decisions, but I really do think that when I'm looking at these things, making those decisions, I'm trying to decide what is in the best interest of our community. And that's one of the things when people ask me, because I know there's things we do that people aren't happy about. I get it, and it's tough to make everybody happy, but the one thing that I would want people to take away from it is that I have lived in this town my whole life.
Yeah.
I've been here 63 years. I'm not going to do something that's going to hurt our town or what I believe will hurt our town. If I'm thinking about it, I try to make sure that it's in the best interest of the totality.
Gotcha.
So, town manager. So one of the questions that people always ask, okay, what is the difference between a mayor and a town manager?
Okay.
I still don't even know.
So there are obviously in the state of Indiana two forms of government. You have a mayoral and council form, and then you have a town manager council form of government. The difference being is a mayor is elected. And I have friends who are mayors. I have lots of friends who are mayors. And I have lots of friends who are town managers. And the difference between the system is that with that being an elected position, sometimes the thought process is more about what will get me reelected. And I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but I don't have that worry. I know that I have obviously 5 people that I have to make happy on a daily basis, but when I give them opinion, it's again going to be based on all the research that I've done, what I believe is in the best interest of the community, whereas a mayor may or may not always have that. Now, all the mayors I know, they truly are true public servants. I don't think they think about the reelection aspect, but I think that sometimes that's got to be in the back of their mind that, if I make this decision, this could cost me this or whatever, and I don't have to think about that. I have the ability to basically not be a yes person and just say, this is what I think. And when I do that, like I said, I hate to say this, I don't worry about the consequences as much. So I think that is the biggest difference between the two positions. So, I don't have to be affiliated to a particular party one way or another or anything like that. So
That's why I've always loved term limits,
mm-hmm.
because then they're actually getting stuff done, in my
Sure.
opinion, because they're not voting, working on that next vote. So
Right.
I've always left term limits for that fact.
The only downside that because I understand exactly what
Yeah.
you're saying, having come from obviously the sheriff's department side, term limits do hurt Indiana sheriffs in some aspects because nationally there are so many sheriffs out there that don't have term limits, and so for national organizations, those that hold office in them, whether it's the president of the National Sheriff's Association or whatever, they're coming from states that don't have term limits because there's no fear that they're going to probably be ousted anytime soon. If they've been able to be there for 20 years, they're probably going to be another 4. Whereas in Indiana, 8 years is it, and most Indiana sheriffs don't have an opportunity to serve in those national bodies like that. So
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All right. That is very interesting.
I'm a plethora of information.
You are.
I
You
always
are.
forget.
And jokes.
Yes.
And jokes.
Yeah.
All right. So what if you were to give a 30-second elevator speech on what a town manager does? What would you say?
Like on a daily basis?
Yeah, what would you say your job is?
So essentially my job is to make sure there is cohesion between all of the department heads, that we're all trying to achieve the common goal to make sure that the town of Danville is being operated safely, efficiently, and that we're looking for the future and being progressive. Then at the same time, I have to take the information that is given to me by the department heads, put it in a little package, a compact package, and disseminate that to the council members so that they are able to make decisions on questions that we might ask throughout the course of the 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the situation may be as far as council meetings and things. But really, again, I'm bringing everything together, redisseminating it so that it's in a nice little neat package that they don't have to try and sit there and go through everything. Granted, there's times I can't avoid it. They're going to get the 230-page packet. I can't stop that. But for the most part, what I try to do is make sure that I'm trying to make their life easier so that it's easier for them to make informed decisions.
Okay. Departments. What all departments sit underneath you? What are all the different town departments?
So the fire department just exited, obviously, because they became a territory, but I oversee the police, water, wastewater, stormwater, streets, parks, planning and building, and code enforcement, and human resources. Really, everything but fire and the clerk treasurer's office fall underneath my purview.
Okay. So you want to talk about a territory? Because I don't think people understand what
Sure.
the difference between, because they're not seeing a difference. There's fire trucks still coming. But what is the difference between the fire department as it was and the fire territory?
So the objective is, at the end of the day, the end user, which is our citizens, doesn't see a difference. That really is important at the end of the day. Used to say that when we had volunteers and career firefighters mixed together is that my objective is that no matter who gets off that truck, the citizen doesn't know. They don't know if it's a volunteer or a career firefighter. They're trained the same. It's all professionalism. Right. So that's a good thing that you say the citizens don't know. The difference being is the territory is I guess for a lack of a better kind of a merger between the town of Danville and Center Township. For years, the relationship between the two entities or the two government entities has kind of been symbiotic, that one truly existed off of the other. And it was a great relationship. I obviously thrived under it, and we built a nice fire department and where it is now, but it was at a point where it couldn't go any further the way it was standing. So with the territory and the merger between the two government entities, it allows the territory to become its own taxing unit. And as a result of that, it takes the taxes that Danville and Center Township would have been using for fire protection, moves it over to the fire territory so that they're not trying to compete You figure when the town of Danville, we get our tax money, that's being split between police, fire, water, wastewater, well, not water and wastewater, but the other, parks and streets. And the utilities obviously make their own money through utility rates. But so again, it allows them to take that money that's being taxed, goes directly to them, so that they have more of an opportunity to isolate those funds to what they need on a more daily basis.
There was a cap put on them this last, the year before last, correct?
Right.
And that literally happened almost days, I feel like it was just days after we voted to have a territory. I mean, it wasn't days, but I feel like it was like boom, boom. So do you think that those decisions at the State House are gonna affect us?
No question.
Yeah.
Yep. I think there's no question, and I don't know where the end is in sight, because even this last session there were changes that are affecting the fire territory. There are some things that were pulled at the last minute, which will be helpful in the long run, but they're still on the porch, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it won't be that hard for them to come off the porch and get back into the game. And we have to watch that. I think it's important that we're talking to our legislators and saying, okay, we understand what you're trying to do, but please keep in mind how this is going to affect all of us. I think we all know that SB1 has been challenging, and I don't think it's any different for the territory as it is, for us when all the dust settles, I guess, so to speak.
I think everybody's feeling it. I know the schools are feeling it, the libraries are feeling it, the town's feeling it. And it's kind of like, well, wait, I think a lot of people don't understand. Well, I feel like there's maybe a handful of people that fully understand what was fully done with SB1. So, but I appreciate that our town continues to look forward as to making adjustments and those kind of things. I feel like this council that we have are very cognizant fiscally of our future and those kind of things. So I appreciate that.
I think one of the things in looking at SB1 and how we're dealing with it, as you stated, we have to be creative, and we have to look at what options do we have to us. But what we have to be careful is that when we explore or are ready to explore an option, that's not getting nixed as well, which we're kind of seeing on some levels under the new bills that were passed this year. And it just, I'm a firm believer in local rule. I've had people come into my office so many times, and they're, if you're familiar with the layout of town hall, they'll come into my office and they're complaining about something in Washington or something in Indianapolis, and I try to take that opportunity to remind them that the most impactful decisions are made across the hall from my office, because those 5 people over there are the ones that affect our town, and they need to take as much interest in what's happening in our community as they do in Washington and in Indianapolis, because it's closer to home. And that's why I'm a firm believer in the home rule. It's funny because when I look at the election cycle and I watch on the off-year elections, and we have a 6% turnout or whatever for local election, it reminds me that people don't really take that interest in the local elections. It's disappointing. Because
I agree. Did you see the Republican just got a huge grant to publish a voting
Something, I don't know, I saw it at 5:30 this morning. So.
Yeah.
I haven't opened that email yet.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's great, because so it's a non-biased,
Right.
Just basically a voter information thing, and it's to go to every home
Right.
in Hendricks County, and I think that's great,
Yep.
because I think one of the things, I mean, I mean, you know, my dad, I grew up, you know, precinct committeeman, you know, I was there working every election.
Sure.
So I guess I just learned very quickly and very young the importance of voting, you know, and especially in our local government, you know. Yes, you know, everybody says, oh, one vote, what does it matter at the state, you know, at the state, or what does it matter?
Huge.
And it is, it is. And I think one of the things we're finding with the public policy, you know, committee, you know, our chambers, I think people didn't realize how accessible our state legislators are, how accessible our local legislators are. I mean, our state and our town council members. So I think that's great. All right.
What's funny, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Is that people need to realize when they say that, oh, you know, their vote's only one vote. We've had elections in Danville that have been as close as 3 votes.
Yes.
So a vote's very important. I've seen elections throughout the United States where the result was a tie, and at the end of the day, the winner was decided by a coin flip. I mean, I don't want that. I want the voter. I mean, I would really rather say my vote, you know, did this. So I think it is important to vote. One of the things we are going to be working on, I'll be working on it after the primary, is we're going to be changing our election cycle. And we're going to put it on election years where there are other national, so that we can get more turnout. I know there's a lot of thought that, oh, you get lost in that, but I'd rather see the turnout and have people have the opportunity to vote in that election as opposed to people not coming out. And quite honestly, it's a fiscal matter, because when we have our own election, we have to pay extra money for it. So I'd rather be absorbed into the national and save us some money, and again, get that voter turnout. So.
I agree. All right. What are some challenges that we have here in Danville? What do you see as the challenges?
Well, I think there is a lack of understanding in everything that happens, and I know it's impossible to try and absorb everything that goes on because Danville's changing so much. We have so much going on, but I think there's misinformation that goes out, and the challenge is trying to make people understand that come see us, you know, come talk. I mean, our offices are open, our phone lines are always available. Come see us. If you have questions, don't rely on your next door neighbor or social media or whatever.
Chatter. Stay off the chatter.
I'm not going to
That's my
cast
personal
dispersions. Yeah. But I do believe that I don't have social media. I've never been on social media, but I do have people obviously that keep me informed of what goes on social media.
Then you really don't know how funny Jocelyn and I are.
You're absolutely right.
Once I show him.
Yeah, she has shown me that. Yeah. So, but it's important not to. I look at it, and again, I'm just going to show my age, like the old telephone game where, you know, she'd say something to me, I'd say something to you, and then by the time it got back around to her, it's completely changed, and that's not helping our situation. I talked to a gentleman the other day that, you know, it was almost like an epiphany. When he was like, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I didn't understand it that way." And I was like, "That's why you called me. Please, anytime, just call me. If anything, we're an open book. We really are, and we have nothing that, you know, we don't want the public to know." And I think that's, you know, that's the hardest challenge is to make sure that people are getting the correct information. No matter how much we put it out there, I want them to know that, you know, they can call us anytime.
Right. They don't, for the person that doesn't want to read through the 200 pages of board packets,
Right.
they can, I love that you can go on YouTube. I was in Florida at one point and there was a meeting I wanted to watch, and so I watched the town council meeting on YouTube, sitting on the beach.
Right.
And it was delightful.
Yeah, and if they
You know,
want,
if I'm gonna sit in a town council meeting, I'm gonna say,
Sounds
sitting on the beach.
I gotta figure out how to get there. But one of the things I do that I hope helps the public, because I do it to help the council, is when you see our agenda, I put a summary in there. It's a topic summary that I put in there, and it gives it's usually a 1 or 2 sentence blurb of what the intent of that particular topic is. So like last night, we had a resolution to change the seasonal hours for the Dora, and literally I surmised a 2-page resolution into 2 sentences, and I do that again so the council has an easier way to they're going to read it, but it gives them that brief, and it also provides to the public exactly what this resolution is intended to do.
Yeah.
So
We're part of that problem, right? Or not the problem. I wouldn't say we're the problem there, but the chamber is part of the reason for the change.
we don't make
You're about to
changes.
get controversial.
We
I'm
don't
not.
make changes in ordinances or resolutions for any one isolated organization.
No.
Thank you, Mark. That was good.
I said we're part of it.
You're a wonderful aspect of our community.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So what are some opportunities we've got coming up in Danville? What are some opportunities for Danville coming?
So can you be less specific?
All right. So, all right. Well, let's talk. I can be less
Oh, yes.
specific, obviously. Let's talk economic development.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's some movement that we are working towards, especially on the southeast side of town. So I feel like that is an opportunity for our community.
Sure.
So you want to talk about that?
Sure. We actually have what I would consider 4 areas that we're looking at for current economic growth. All 4 provide different challenges. And so I'll just start out east and move my way towards the west. In the southeast part of our area, out by the airport, IMI, the landfill, if I was building a home, that's not an area I would want to build a home. There's too much noise, whatever the case may be. And so we've identified that as a commercial area, light industrial, and one of the problems we're getting or running into is being able to provide infrastructure in that area. And so, we're trying to figure out how to design collectors so that we can gather wastewater. And again, it's not an overnight easy process, and we'll get it figured out. We've got engineers working on it. But again, that's an excellent area for growth and opportunity out there. I think the 2 of you have heard my dream. I unfortunately have a lot of dreams about how a domino will fall and then the next one fall, and I do believe that the airport has a great potential for our community, that if we can get the right housing, when I say housing, I'm talking about hangars, of course,
Right.
Where people who fly a $500,000 plane, $1 million plane, whatever, that they can park their plane, get an Uber. Then coming to my next thing, as if we could get a hotel located somewhere in Danville, they could Uber to that hotel. Let's say they're coming in for, I don't know, the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be downtown and all whatever that is going on down there. They just want to go to the race. So they come into our community. They go to our hotel. They get a Uber to, I don't know, the Mayberry, whatever, have dinner, go back, then Uber up to the 500, enjoy the race, come back, get on their plane and leave. I think we're providing them an alternative to that downtown feel, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what I see out there, and that's why I think that needs to stay commercial and industrial out there. We are working on some possible growth near the Walmart area. Like I said, we've been talking about a hotel there for I don't know how many years now. It's not dead by any means. It's just finding the right investor that wants to put it in there. We are struggling with NDOT on a couple of issues out there. They're not willing to give us what we need. Well, they are, but it's at a price that I'm not willing to pay. And I don't know where that price came from, but we're trying to figure that out. So that's another economic development area out there. White Lick, I just found out last week this was called the White Lick area, but I always
I
called
didn't realize it.
Yeah, I didn't either. I always called it the Pence property. Yeah.
Pence property.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we are working on helping that develop. We finally came up with a number on building roads, and we've decided that we would prefer those roads to be built to our standards. Originally on a private road, they were like 27 feet. We're going to have it built to 32, and by having it built to 32, it allows us to obviously to put some coin in the game, but that way we can take those roads over and they've met our standards. Then of course we have the situation out west with Miles Farm. There's a commercial area out there that we've got a lot of interest in. But again, it goes back to trying to work a solution with NDOT and saying, what is it you expect here? What is it you're looking for when you say that if traffic gets to be such and such, we need to do this adjustment or make this improvement? And I don't have an answer. And that's what's holding me up right now is I need that answer. I have to have that answer, or I'm not going to, obviously at, being here since 78 and at 63, I'm not going to be here when all that comes to fruition. And so I'm not going to tag whoever takes my place with an $8 million bill.
Yeah.
That's not fair to them. So those are things that I'm looking at. So I think we have a lot of opportunities. There are things that working with the Redevelopment Commission that we've met with them on identifying areas for economic growth and economic development areas. Of course, we want to be mindful of the school because anything we do as far as an EDA or a TIF might adversely affect their ability to get money. So we're trying to walk a balanced tightrope here and see what we can get done and that is beneficial to them, to us, and bring additional growth in.
So I would probably be remiss if I did not ask about traffic.
Sure.
And the town is working on some opportunities.
Right.
So you want to talk about what the town is doing and kind of where we are in the process.
Sure. So we are in the process of developing a thoroughfare plan, which I think our last one was in 2010. The thing that again, this goes back to understanding, make sure people know the truth, is this is not called a bypass plan. It is a thoroughfare plan. The bypass, that opportunity was probably missed 50 years ago. And the last time we even looked at the thought of actually building a true bypass, I want to say it was close to $300 million. We don't have that kind of money.
We don't?
No, the landfill just doesn't produce that much for us. So, what we're doing, the reason we're calling this a thoroughfare plan and what we want people to understand is we're not trying to get the Park and Putnam County traffic off of 36. That's not our objective. Our objective is to let them traverse through town. What we want to do are create thoroughfares that would allow our citizens to go home. And so whether that's on the south side of 36, the north side of 36, we're trying to provide alternative roads to where they can exit off of 36, let the Park and Putnam County traffic absorb 36, and they can go to their homes. That they don't have to stay on 36 and be a part of that traffic, because if you're sitting on 36, you're part of the problem. And that's what we're trying to get rid of. We've got some ideas to try and work on 200 East and realign that the entrance off of 200 East to Waste Management to try and get the semi trucks off quicker. And that gets them, if you know where it bottlenecks there on Main Street, if we can get those semis out of that bottleneck process, we've cleaned things up quite a bit. So if we can get the semis off, get them off at 200 East, go into the landfill, we think that's going to be a big help. And then after that, we want to get our citizens off 36, get them to their homes. And that's really what the thoroughfare plan, it's been interesting to see the thought process of the thoroughfare plan. People who live on where a thoroughfare is proposed have absolutely no desire for it, but they want to see it in someone else's backyard. And we're seeing that a lot, which is okay. I would expect the same thing. But yeah, I just want to make sure people know that our objective is not to take all of the traffic and run it down Lincoln Street or up Stratford or whatever. Our objective is that the main traffic stay on 36 and people get to go home and not have to mess with it. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, I think that was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was a great explanation.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question.
Sure.
And then I will pass it over to Jocelyn because she has to wrap this up.
Sure.
All right, so quick question. Chamber, we have had the opportunity to have you serve as ex officio on our board since I've been here. I don't know how many years before I came on that you actually served. But what do you see, because obviously the town does help, we have a contract with the town. What do you see the benefit of the chamber to the town?
Boy, I don't know if there's enough time in this.
Oh, yay! Good answer.
But, you know, what I look at personally, and just so you know, since I've been town manager, that was one of the appointments that was given to me, was to serve as an ex officio on your board. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. And one of the things that I see is the chamber, you are, for lack of a better, you're the face of the town of Danville. Even though you're not within our structure, you're not part of the departments that I listed that work underneath me. But I do believe that when new businesses or people come into our community, and I think this is just inherent through history, one of the first things they look for is the Chamber of Commerce. And so I do believe that it's wonderful having you guys affiliated with the town inside, with a fiscal, impact that we do. But you are truly the representation out there. And then as a subcategory, and again, this is selfish, I use you and look at you as our economic development partner. And I know we have a redevelopment commission, but the town of Danville doesn't have an economic development person or a chair or whatever you want to call them. And I look at you guys as that's what you do. You're out there, and I know you're doing it. I know you don't advertise it, you don't boast it, you don't talk about it, but I know you guys are out there, whether it's an empty vacant building or it's somebody who's looking for X amount of footage to come in. There are several organizations that do this, but none of them do it as closely for the town of Danville like you guys do. And that's what I look at. You guys are our representatives out there promoting the town of Danville for economic development. And there's also the feel good. I love the part that, we still do concerts on the square, concerts in the park. I think it's important. I think it's important for our citizens to know that, those things happen. They're free. We're still just a wonderful community. It's the small town feel is still there. It's never going to change. Yes. We're going to have our square. We're going to still do things, and we built a beautiful amphitheater down in our park. I'd put our park system up against anybody, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a great park system. So I think the partnership we have, I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right, Jocelyn.
I get caught just listening to you talk so bad, but I was really thinking about what I was going to ask next, so I'm ready. First one, I want to hear your best joke that you can share with us.
That's the Human Resources says I can't do that anymore.
Okay. Next question. is, I didn't prepare you for this at all, so I apologize.
That's right.
What's your best piece of advice, life advice, business advice, anything you want to share? Work advice, whatever.
What advice do you live by?
Boy, that's a tough
I know,
question.
I know.
prepare you, but I'm expecting a lot out of you.
Yeah,
just so you know.
I think that I truly, and I know this will sound so cliche, but just be yourself. If you can't be you, trying to be somebody else probably isn't going to work out, because they probably aren't doing it very well either.
Mhm.
And when I was a sheriff's deputy, one of the things that I was in our field training program, and one of the things that I liked about it, when you're training a new police officer, they normally had 3 other training officers and it wasn't because somebody was getting burnt out. It's because you didn't want to create a clone.
Mhm.
You don't. If this new deputy only rides with one deputy,
Right.
they're going to emulate everything that person does.
Yeah.
The objective is that they get to see 3 different models and take the best of all 3, and then hopefully make their own person.
Yeah.
And I do believe that is important, that you learn to be yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking snippets from
Mhm.
other people that you've learned from. I've learned from the best. My dad had probably a saying that I lived by, and I took throughout pretty much my whole career, and it started back when I played football. Had a coach that I didn't always agree with, and my dad said to me, he said, you can either play for a coach or you can play in spite of a coach, but if you love the game, play the game. And I think there's so much truth to that. And so I've literally, anytime I've made a decision, whether it's career, whatever, I've tried to keep that in mind, that, okay, no matter who's leading this, do I like doing it?
Mhm.
And if I like doing it, I'm either going to do it for them or in spite of them, but I'm going to do it.
That's really good. Good job, Mark.
I like that.
Killed it.
Mark, we know you're busy.
No problem.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking some time to chat with us today.
My pleasure.
I'm sure we probably could have gone another hour or so
Easily.
because I agree. So maybe we'll have you
Yeah,
back
I was actually thinking maybe it was in part
soon.
2.
Yes,
Yeah.
part 2, and maybe.
I'm not hard to find.
Well,
It's just
thank
on hold.
goodness. Thank goodness. We get to see you wave
Right.
when you're walking by our
Right.
office. You pop in,
Mhm.
and I guess you used to tell us jokes.
Again, I have to be, careful about what
He's
I do.
media trained.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
good.
Media trained.
This
All
is
right.
good.
All right. Thank you, Mark. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it.